Hi, I'm Scott. I write for RP Gamer. I playtest for Robin Laws, which means my name's in the front of the book for some Pelgrane stuff and some Atlas stuff and I guess some Chaosium stuff soon. But what really matters is that I'm just some weirdo in his office trying to figure out what a D&D setting is for him, because I've always meant to write one, but I don't want to write one. But I like something to reference with my players as we go about building things. And I'm going to take it one chunk at a time because player first is really the only way I know how to do this. I know there's like top down, bottom up, inside out ideas of how to build a setting, but I'm like, no, what does the player need to know immediately? And that's what we'll settle on first. And the other details, uh, they can sit until they matter, uh, as it were. So going through it as the player sees it, one chunk at a time. We're still on races, and now we are on gnomes. And gnomes are weird because they draw from similar folklore that gave us elves and dwarves, but they have to be different from elves and dwarves. And then they're short, which means you have to make them distinct from halflings. And, well, halflings are rural. We settled on that, deeply rural, because, it just suit it just suits. It suits. We're gonna hew close to Tolkien on that, because, we're not gonna sit back and say, yeah, they're totally not hobbits. They're so not hobbits, they're gypsies. 3.5. Anyway, so if halflings are rural, well, we make gnomes urban, right? That's it. Um, and Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes leans into that by saying that, what gnomes get is expertise, and to be an expert, you need a bunch of generalists running around, a certain population of people who can support an expert. So there we go. So that's a city. So gnomes are city dwellers, and that's I think that's it. I think that we say that they are kind of a model minority no matter where you go. If you're in an elf city or a half-orc city or a half-demon city, they're the model minority. They go out of their way to fit in. Their customs are small, kind of private, kind of off on their own, but otherwise they tend to act like the people around them. I mean, they probably live in basement apartments under workshops, or, you know, and there's definitely like Gnome Town, which is, just half-sized little crazy neighborhood full of gnome food. It's where you go to get good gnome food. What's good gnome food? Parsnips? Parsnips. I don't know. I'm bad at figuring out food. I am bad at figuring out food. I think the Tough Guide to Fantasyland ruined any attempt for me to describe food in a sensible way to my players. You just you just sit down and you have meal. It's whatever you think it is. Um, and yeah, that that's literally what I have on gnomes, is that they're these heavily urbanized model minority figure, and the culture tends to just be quiet and diligent, and maybe it is weird for gnome adventurers. They're listed in the uncommon races section of the race book, or the race chapter, so that scans, and that's it. That they just adapt what not even adapt, but adopt what's around them and get by. They're kind of invisible in a weird sense. And maybe that's what gnome adventurers do. They're out to reclaim gnomishness for gnomes. Weird gnome nationalism, running around proclaiming the gnome gods and the gnome ways and the gnome traditions to the world. Gnome is a funny word if you say it enough times. I think that's all I got. I think that's my idea for gnomes, and I'm going to leave it at that. Have a good week, everybody.